My name is Lois, and I'm 62. I sit in my quiet apartment holding a note that cuts deeper than I expected. My daughter-in-law's words glare from the page. "Loser old woman, you stink." I gave my son everything $170,000 to clear his debts, my house to save his family. The next day they sold it and vanished. The lilac bushes I loved still bloom in my mind, their sweet scent, a ghost of home. I'm left wondering where I lost my way, my fingers tracing the note's sharp edges. Where are you watching from? If this resonates, please like and subscribe to share in stories of healing. Every morning I walk through my house touching the familiar, the oak table where my husband carved his initials, the creaky third stair. The window where sunlight spills just right, casting patterns on the worn rug. I'm Lois, and this house in Ohio has held my life for 30 years, its walls steeped in the echo of laughter and loss. Today, Harold's coming over with Marlene and Kathy. I've baked cookies. The kind Kathy loves, their buttery scent filling the kitchen, hoping their warmth might soften the distance I've felt lately. The air feels heavy, like it's holding its breath, waiting for something to shift, the grandfather clock ticking too loud in the hall. Harold arrives, his shoulders slumped, eyes avoiding mine, his coat damp from a morning drizzle. Marlene trails behind her purse, clutched tight, lips pressed thin, her heels clicking sharp on my hardwood floor. Kathy bounds in her ponytail, bouncing, and hugs me quick, before darting to the cookie plate, her sneakers squeaking. I smile, but it fades when I catch Marlene's glance at my faded curtains. She mutters something about outdated taste to Harold, her voice sharp, like she's slicing through my home's heart. I pretend not to hear, busying myself with the teapot, its porcelain cool against my palms. We sit in the living room, the one I painted butter yellow when Harold was a boy. Its walls chipped but warm. He's quiet, picking at a loose thread on his sleeve, his fingers restless. I ask about his job. The kids, anything to fill the silence that hums like a taut wire. He mumbles about work being fine, but his eyes flicker restless, darting to the window. Marlene cuts in her tone. Clipped, saying they're managing. Kathy, oblivious, chatters about school. Her words a bright spot in the tension, her voice high and clear. I cling to her voice, remembering when Harold used to talk like that, full of life, his dreams spilling out over dinner. Then it comes. Harold clears his throat. His face tight, jaw clenched. He says they're in trouble, a loan gone bad. $50,000. Deep. His voice cracks, not with shame, but something else, like he's rehearsed this in front of a mirror. I feel my chest tighten, the air thinning, my breath shallow. I ask how it happened, but he waves it off, saying it's complicated. His hand brushing the air like swatting a fly. Marlene leans forward, her eyes sharp, saying they just need a little help to get back on their feet. I look at Harold, waiting for the boy I raised to meet my gaze, but he stares at the floor, his shoes scuffing my rug. I think of my savings, the nest egg I built after my husband passed, each dollar a choice to live simply. It's not much, but it's mine, meant for quiet years ahead. Maybe a trip to see the ocean again. I picture Harold's kids, Kathy's smile, Jimmy's drawings, their futures hanging in the balance. I want to ask more to understand, but Marlene's watching me, her expression unreadable, her posture stiff like she's measuring me. I say I'll think about it, my voice steady, though my hands shake under the table hidden by the lace cloth. Harold nods quick, like he expected this, and I feel a pang, sharp and familiar, like when he stopped calling after he moved out, his voice fading from my evenings. Later, I sit with Esther, my neighbor, over tea in her kitchen, its walls lined with faded floral paper. She's in her 70s, her hands spotted with age, her eyes kind but tired, framed by glasses that slip down her nose. She tells me about her son, how he took her money for years, promising to visit, never showing his promises, as empty as the chair across from her. Her voice is soft, but there's a warning in it, one I don't want to hear, like a bell tolling far off. I sip my tea, the warmth doing little to ease the chill settling in me. I think of my husband's letter tucked in my dresser, his words about protecting family written in his careful hand. I want to believe Harold's different, that this is just a rough patch, a storm that will pass. Kathy's voice echoes in my mind, her chatter from earlier about her parents fighting over money, her words tumbling out like marbles. She said it casually, like it's normal, but it lands heavy, a stone in my chest. I see her face so much like Harold's at that age, and I wonder what she's carrying behind her bright eyes. I go to the attic, needing something solid to hold onto the stairs, creaking under my weight. There, in a dusty box, I find Harold's old baseball glove, the leather worn soft from years of games in our backyard, its stitches frayed but holding. I can still see him 15, dreaming of the majors, his grin wide as the summer sky, his laughter echoing off the trees. That boy feels so far from the man who sat in my living room today, asking for money with eyes that wouldn't meet mine. I hold the glove, its weight grounding me, but my thoughts spiral, circling questions I can't answer. Did I fail him somehow? Not teaching him enough about standing on his own? My mother's voice creeps in her old warnings about giving too much, her words sharp in my memory. I push it away, but the doubt lingers sharp as Marlene's words about my curtains cutting into my resolve. I look around the attic at the boxes of my life-old photos, my husband's tools, Anne's drawings, and wonder if I'm holding on to too much or not enough. The house feels quieter now, like it's waiting for me to decide something I'm not ready to face. Its silence a mirror to my own. That night I lie in bed. The house too still, the air thick with the scent of old wood. The baseball glove sits on my nightstand, its leather scent mingling with memories of Harold's laughter, bright and unburdened. I'm Lois, and at 62 I thought I'd know better by now. But love makes you foolish, blinds you to the cracks in those you hold dear. I pull out my husband's letter from the dresser, its edges soft from years of handling the paper crinkling under my touch. His words, written before cancer, took him urge me to hold the family together, to be their anchor. I trace his handwriting, feeling the weight of his trust, heavy as the house around me. I decide to give Harold the $50,000. The bank feels cold, the teller's voice mechanical as I transfer the money, the hum of fluorescent lights buzzing in my ears. My savings dwindle, numbers on a screen that once meant security now slipping away like sand. I call Harold to tell him it's done, expecting relief. Maybe warmth, a hint of the boy I raised. His voice is flat. A quick thanks, Mum, before he hangs up the line, going dead too fast. No questions about me. No plans to visit. No trace of the connection I hoped for. I sit by the phone, waiting for it to ring again, knowing it won't. The silence stretching like a long shadow. The next week, I see Marlene at the grocery store, its aisles crowded with evening shoppers. She's in the produce aisle, inspecting apples. Her posture stiff, her fingers precise as she tests their firmness. I wave, hoping for a moment of connection, a crack in her armor. She nods barely, her eyes sliding past me like I'm a stranger, her face blank as the polished fruit. I ask about Kathy and Jimmy, my voice soft, but she says they're fine, and hurries off her cart, rattling wheels squeaking on the linoleum. I stand there clutching my basket, the weight of her dismissal sinking in heavy as the canned goods I don't need. I buy a loaf of bread I won't eat just to feel normal, to move through the motions. Back home, I dust the shelves, my hands moving on instinct, the cloth catching on a splintered edge. I find a photo frame one Harold made in school. Its edges uneven from his clumsy cuts, painted bright blue with a child's care. He was so proud, his gap-toothed smile beaming as he gave it to me, his hands sticky with glue. Now it holds a picture of us at the county fair. His arm around my shoulders, the Ferris wheel bright behind us. I touch the glass, wondering when he stopped needing me, when I became just a means to an end. The house feels bigger, its rooms echoing with absence, the air heavy with dust. Esther comes over again, bringing her homemade jam, its jar cool in my hands. She senses my quiet, asks if I'm okay. Her voice gentle as the afternoon light. I tell her about the money, my voice steady but thin, like thread about to snap. She sighs, says she gave her son too much once, thinking it'd bring him closer. Her words slow, weighted with regret. It didn't. Her words settle like dust, heavy and hard to shake, clinging to my thoughts. I want to argue, to say Harold's just struggling, but the truth nibbles at me sharp and persistent. He hasn't asked about my health, my days in months, his silence louder than any words. I walk to the backyard where the grass is patchy from years of kids playing, their laughter a ghost in the air. I think of Kathy's words again, her small voice mentioning fights, her tone too casual for the weight it carried. I picture her in her room, hearing raised voices through thin walls, her world unsteady. My heart aches for her, for the family I thought I could save with my sacrifice. I kneel by the flower bed, my knees stiff, and pull a weed, its roots stubborn in the dry soil. The earth is cool grounding, but it can't fill the hollow space growing inside me, a void I can't name. I try calling Harold again just to hear his voice, to find a trace of the boy I knew. It goes to voicemail, his tone clipped professional like a stranger's. I don't leave a message, the beep echoing in my ear. Instead, I sit on the porch, watching the street, the neighbor's lights flickering on. A neighbor waves, but I barely nod back, my thoughts elsewhere. I think of my mother, how she'd sit in her rocker warning me about giving too much of myself, her voice low and sure. I ignored her, then thought love meant saying yes. Now I'm not so sure her words echoing like a distant bell. The letter from my husband sits folded in my pocket, its weight a quiet pressure. I don't read it again, but its presence presses against me, a reminder of promises I've tried to keep. I gave Harold the money to keep his family whole, to honor that promise. But as I sit here, the porch swing creaking under me, the evening air cool on my skin, I feel the first cracks in my hope. Harold's silence, Marlene's coldness. They're pulling at something I can't name, a thread unraveling. I'm not ready to let go. But the ground beneath me is shifting, and I don't know how to stop it. The world tilting in ways I can't control. I'm Lois, and at 62, I thought I'd seen the worst of heartache. But some hurts creep up slow like frost on a window pane, chilling you before you notice. I stand in my kitchen sorting through old cookbooks, their pages yellowed from years of flour-dusted fingers, recipes scribbled in my mother's slanted hand. The house feels different now, its warmth fading like it knows I'm pulling away its walls, whispering memories. I pack a box of dishes, each one. A memory of Sunday dinners, laughter, my husband's bad jokes, the clink of forks against plates. I'm not ready to let go. But Harold's voice keeps echoing in my head, heavy with need. He called last night, his tone urgent, almost desperate, the phone crackling with static. The $50,000 wasn't enough. There's more debt, he said, $170,000 tied to bad investments, maybe. Gambling his words, tumbling too fast to trust. His voice was rushed, like he was afraid to linger, afraid of questions. I pressed for details, but he dodged, saying it's under control if I help, his tone sharp. Marlene's voice cut through in the background, sharp, telling him to hurry up, her words. A blade in the dark. I felt my stomach knot my fingers, gripping the phone too tight, the plastic warm in my hand. I sit at the table, staring at my bank statement, the numbers stark against the white page. My retirement savings, built over decades of careful choices, stare back, each figure a promise of quiet days. I think of selling them off, every penny I saved for quiet days in this house, for simple joys like morning coffee on the porch. The idea feels like tearing out a piece of myself, like ripping a seam I've stitched carefully. I walk to the living room where the walls still hold the echo of my daughter Anne's giggles. Her voice bright in my memory. I find a cracked teacup on a shelf, one my mother used when we'd talk through hard times. Its handle chipped but familiar. She'd say, "Don't give everything away, Lois. Keep something for you." I ignored her then, but now her voice feels like a warning. I can't shake steady as the teacups wait. Harold comes over unannounced. His face, drawn eyes darting his coat, wrinkled from a long drive. Marlene's with him, her arms crossed, her gaze fixed on the floor, her shoes scuffing my clean rug. They sit stiffly on the couch like strangers in my home, the air thick between us. Harold says they need the house, not just money. A fresh start, he calls it, his voice pleading but distant, like he's speaking from another room. Marlene chimes in her words. Smooth, practiced saying it's the only way to save their family, her tone too even to trust. I look at the mantel, at the photos of Kathy and Jimmy, their small faces full of trust, their smiles unguarded. I want to believe this will fix things, but my heart hesitates a beat out of rhythm. I meet Rose, my old friend, at the diner down the street, its booths worn, the air smelling of grease and coffee. Her hands lined with age cradle her coffee mug as she talks about her brother, how she bailed him out years ago, lost her savings, and got nothing but silence in return. Her voice low with regret. Her eyes meet mine, soft but firm, urging me to think twice, her gaze steady as the steam rising from her cup. I nod, but my mind's already spinning, picturing Harold's kids, homeless, their lives unraveling, their futures dim. I tell her I have to help, but my voice wavers, betraying the doubt creeping in a shadow I can't shake. Back home, I find Jimmy's latest drawing tucked in my mailbox, a crayon sketch of our family under a big sun, the colors bold but smudged. My heart aches at his innocence, so unaware of the storm his parents are brewing. His small world still bright. I tape it to the fridge next to Anne's old drawing, their edges curling, and feel the weight of what I'm about to lose heavy as the fridge's hum. Harold's words. Marlene's pressure, they're pulling me toward a choice I'm not sure I can make. I stand in the hallway, the house quiet except for the tick of the clock, its rhythm steady but relentless, and feel the ground slipping beneath me like I'm falling into something I can't stop. I'm Lois, and the weight of this house presses heavier each day, its walls closing in like a held breath. I stand in the pantry staring at a recipe card for Harold's favorite apple pie. My handwriting faded from years of use, the paper soft as memory. I baked it for him every birthday, his smile brighter than the candles, his eyes bright with joy. Now the card feels like a relic of a love I'm not sure he remembers, a ghost of happier days. I tuck it away, my hands trembling, and try to focus on the numbers, the cold math of my choice. Selling my investments means no safety net, no quiet years, no mornings watching the sunrise from my porch. It's all I have left. A fragile shield against an uncertain future. I call my financial advisor, my voice steady but hollow, the phone heavy in my hand. She warns me, her tone gentle, about liquidating everything, her words measured like a doctor's diagnosis. I nod into the phone, not trusting myself to speak, my throat tight. The decision feels like cutting a thread I've woven my whole life, each snip a loss. I think of Kathy and Jimmy, their small hands in mine, their laughter echoing in the yard, and tell myself it's for them. But Marlene's words, her push for the house, coil around my thoughts like a vine choking out clarity, their grip tight and unyielding. Harold calls again late, his voice low, strained, the line crackling with distance. He says the creditors are circling, that they'll lose everything without the house, his words urgent but rehearsed. I ask why, what happened, but he snaps, saying I wouldn't understand, his tone sharp as a slammed door. I hear Marlene in the background, her tone sharp, urging him to make me see reason, her voice a needle in my ear. I feel my throat tighten, the air thick with their need, heavy as humidity before a storm. I say I'll think about it, but my voice cracks, betraying the fear I'm trying to hide, a tremor I can't mask. I walk to the garage where my husband's toolbox sits rusted but untouched, its metal cold under my fingers. I open it, finding his old pocket knife, the one he used to carve apples for the kids. Its blade dulled but heavy with memory. The memory stings him, laughing, Harold begging for another slice, their voices blending in the evening light. I clutch the knife, its weight cold in my palm, and wonder when my son stopped seeing me as more than a solution, a means to an end. The house creaks around me like it's mourning what's coming, its timbers groaning softly. Rose stops by her face lined with worry, her scarf bright against the grey day. She sits with me on the back porch, the air heavy with summer's end, the scent of cut grass lingering. She talks about her brother again, how his promises turned to ash, leaving her with nothing but regret. I want to tell her I'm different, that Harold's just lost, but the words stick, caught in my throat. She pats my hand, says, "Family can break you if you let them." Her touch, gentle but firm. I look at the yard where the kids' old swing hangs limp, its chains rusted, and feel her truth settle in my bones, heavy as the fading light. I find another of Jimmy's drawings in my coat pocket, a stick figure family holding hands, the lines wobbly but sure. It's smudged like he rushed it, his small hands eager. I trace the lines, picturing him drawing it, maybe hoping it'd make things right. His innocence a light in the dark. I think of Kathy, her voice small when she mentioned their fights, her words heavy for a child. I want to shield them to keep their world whole, but the cost is tearing me apart, a rip I can't mend. I sit in the dark, the recipe card on the table, its edges curling, and feel the walls closing in my love for Harold, pulling me toward a choice that feels like losing everything. I'm Lois, and at 62, I thought I knew how to carry pain. But nothing prepares you for the moment your world cracks open sharp and sudden. I sit in the lawyer's office, the air stale with paper and ink, the desk cluttered with files. Paul, the lawyer, slides the deed across his desk, his voice calm as he explains the transfer, his pen tapping softly. My house, my home of 30 years, is no longer mine, its memory heavy in my chest. I sign my name, each letter feeling like a cut, the ink dark against the page. The pen shakes, but I steady it, thinking of Kathy and Jimmy, their futures. I'm trying to save their faces, a flicker of hope. I drive back to my new apartment, a small, unfamiliar box with bare walls, the air smelling of fresh paint and strangeness. The silence is sharp, broken only by the hum of a fridge that's not mine, its drone unfamiliar. I unpack a single bag, my hands moving slow like they're resisting this new reality, my fingers brushing against worn fabric. In my coat pocket, I find Anne's locket, the one she wore as a girl before sickness took her, its silver cool and smooth. I open it, her tiny photo, smiling back, her eyes bright with life, and my chest aches with a love that never betrayed me. I clutch it, needing something to hold onto its weight, a small anchor. The next morning I check my mailbox, a habit from the old house, the metal door squeaking. There's a single note folded tight, no envelope, its edges crisp. I open it, and the words hit like a slap. "Loser old woman, you stink." Marlene's handwriting, jagged and deliberate, burns into me, each letter a wound. I stand frozen, the paper trembling in my hands, the morning air cold on my skin. I read it again, hoping I've misread. But the cruelty is clear, sharp as broken glass. I sink onto the apartment steps, the concrete cold through my skirt, and try to breathe my breath, shallow and uneven. I call Paul, my voice shaking the phone heavy in my hand. He's kind but confused, says the house was sold yesterday, right after the transfer. His tone professional but soft. Harold and Marlene handled it, he says. Assuming I knew his words, a quiet shock. I didn't. My mind reels, picturing them signing papers while I packed my life into boxes, their hands moving without me. I ask where the money went, but Paul hesitates, says it's not his place to know, his voice fading. I hang up the silence, louder now, like a scream I can't let out, echoing in my ears. Joyce, my neighbour's daughter, stops by, her face soft with pity, her hair tied back in a loose bun. She saw the moving truck at my old house, the new owners already measuring windows, their voices cheerful. She tells me her uncle did something similar, took her mother's savings and left without a word. Her story too close to mine. Her voice is gentle, but it cuts, making me feel like a story others will tell, with sad shakes of their heads, a cautionary tale. I nod, unable to speak, the note still crumpled in my pocket. Its weight, a constant ache. I walk to the corner store, needing air, needing motion, the pavement hard under my feet. The streets feel foreign, like I'm a stranger in my own town, the familiar houses blurring past. I pass a park where I used to push Harold on the swings, his laughter ringing out bright and free. Now I imagine him and Marlene, somewhere far counting money from my home, my sacrifice, their lives untouched by my loss. The note's words echo, each one a nail in the trust I built over years, hammering deeper with each step. I'm not ready to face the full truth, but it's clawing at me, demanding to be seen, a shadow I can't outrun. I'm Lois, and the world feels like it's crumbling under my feet, each step unsteady. I sit in my apartment, the note from Marlene on the table, its words a wound that won't close, sharp as the morning chill. I dig through a box, searching for something to anchor me, and find a letter Harold wrote at 12, tucked in an old journal, its pages brittle. His childish scrawl thanks me for believing in him, promising to make me proud, his words full of a boy's hope. I hold it next to Marlene's note, the contrast slicing through me like glass. One a memory, the other a betrayal. I walk to the old house, needing to see it one last time, my shoes crunching on gravel. The new owners are there. A young couple unloading boxes, their laughter spilling onto the lawn, carefree and light. I stand across the street, hidden by a tree, its bark rough against my hand, and watch my home become theirs. The lilac bushes I planted with my husband are still there, blooming like nothing's changed, their purple vivid against the green. I want to scream to tell them it's mine, but my voice stays locked in my throat, trapped by grief. At the community center, I overhear whispers, voices low and sharp. A neighbor, her voice low, tells another about my house, how Harold and Marlene sold it, and left the country, her words carrying across the room. She calls me foolish, her pity sharp as a blade cutting through the chatter. I freeze, clutching a stack of flyers, my face burning, the paper crinkling in my grip. They don't see me, but their words strip me bare, turning my sacrifice into gossip, a story to be whispered over coffee. I slip out the flyers, falling to the floor, my hands too unsteady to hold them, my steps quick on the linoleum. I find a payphone. It's metal cold. My fingers dialing Harold's number before I can stop the coins clinking softly. It's disconnected, a robotic voice confirming what I feared, its tone flat and final. I picture them somewhere far, maybe a beach, spending my life's work while I'm left with nothing, their laughter a distant echo. I think of Kathy and Jimmy, their faces in my mind, and wonder if they even know what their parents did, if they miss me. The thought of them growing up without me twists the knife deeper, a pain I can't name. Back in my apartment, I open a drawer and find a scarf Anne knitted before she passed, its stitches uneven, but full of her love, the wool soft against my skin. I wrap it around my shoulders, needing her warmth, but it can't fill the void, the ache of loss. Marlene's note sits there mocking me, its words a cruel mirror. I see my reflection in the window, a woman who gave everything and got betrayal in return, her face lined with years of trust. I sink to the floor, the scarf slipping, and feel the truth crash over me. They're gone, and I'm alone. My love discarded like trash, scattered in the dark. I'm Lois, and at 62, I've learned that pain can hollow you out, but it doesn't have to break you. I sit in my apartment, the bare walls, staring back Marlene's note tucked away in a drawer. I don't open its presence, a quiet scar. The silence is heavy, but something in me stirs a flicker of defiance like a spark in dry grass. I can't let their betrayal be the end of my story. I pull out a phone book, my fingers tracing the yellowed pages, their edges soft, and find a private investigator. His name is Lloyd, and I call him, my voice steady, despite the tremble in my chest. Lloyd meets me at a coffee shop, its air thick with the scent of roasted beans, his face weathered but kind. I tell him about Harold Marlene. The house, the money, my words spilling slow but sure. My voice is steady, though my hands grip the mug tight, its warmth grounding me. He listens, jotting notes, and says he'll dig into where they went, his pen scratching softly. His calm certainty grounds me like a rope, pulling me from a dark well, steady and sure. I feel a spark, a need to know the truth, to face it head on, to reclaim something I've lost. Back home, I unpack a box and find my grandmother's quilt. Its patches faded, but stitched with care, each square a story of her hands. She made it during hard times. Her hands steady through loss, her needle precise. I drape it over a chair, its weight a reminder of strength. I've forgotten soft, but solid. I think of her stories, how she rebuilt after her husband left, her voice steady in my memory, and I wonder if I can do the same. The thought feels fragile, but it's mine, a seed taking root. I walk to the community center, a place I've passed but never entered, its brick walls warm in the sunlight. Inside, it's alive with voices, people sorting donations, laughing over coffee, the air buzzing with purpose. I meet Frances. A woman my age, her eyes bright despite the lines on her face, her apron smudged with dust. She's volunteering sorting clothes and tells me about her divorce, how helping others gave her purpose, her words warm as the folded sweaters. I sign up, my hands shaky, but sure, wanting to feel useful again, to find a place in the world. I fold blankets, the simple act pulling me out of my head, their softness a small comfort. Frances invites me to stay for a talk. A group of women sharing stories, their voices raw and real. One speaks of losing her home, another of a child who turned away, their words echoing in the small room. I listen, my heart heavy but open, and realize I'm not alone, their pain a mirror to mine. I don't share yet, but their voices echo my pain, giving me a strange comfort like a hand extended in the dark. I think of Kathy and Jimmy, wondering what they know and feel. A resolve to protect what's left of my connection to them, fragile but fierce. I sit at my kitchen table, a notebook open, its pages blank but inviting. I start a letter to Harold, not to send, but to speak my truth, the pen heavy in my hand. The words pour out anger, hurt, love, all tangled together, a knot I'm unraveling. I write about the house, the money, the years I gave each word, a step toward clarity. My pen moves fast, the paper filling with everything I've held back, my handwriting unsteady but sure. It's not enough, but it's a start, a way to claim my voice. I look at the quilt, its stitches holding firm, and feel something inside me shift, like a door creaking open, letting in a sliver of light. I'm Lois, and at 62, I'm learning that strength isn't loud. It's the quiet choice to keep going step by step. The community centre hums with purpose, and I'm here again, sorting books for a charity drive, their covers worn from many hands. My hands move steady, stacking novels and children's stories, each one a small act of rebuilding a brick in a new foundation. Frances notices my focus, gives me a nod, and hands me a box of donated toys. Their colours faded but bright. I find a stuffed bear, its fur worn, and think of Jimmy, how he'd cling to one just like it, his small arms tight around it. I meet Lloyd again, this time at my apartment, the air smelling of fresh coffee I brewed. He brings a folder, his face serious but gentle, his eyes kind behind glasses. He's traced Harold's accounts, found signs they're abroad. Maybe Europe, living off my sacrifice. I listen, my heart steady but heavy, and ask if there's any chance they'll reach out, my voice soft but searching. Lloyd shakes his head, says people like them rarely look back. His words plain but true. His honesty stings, but it's a clean pain, like pulling a splinter sharp but freeing. I thank him, my voice firm, and decide to keep searching, not for them, but for answers, for a truth I can hold. At the centre, I start helping with a literacy program, reading to kids who remind me of Kathy, their eyes bright with wonder. One girl, her braids tight, listens wide-eyed as I read about a brave mouse, her laughter light as bells. Her smile cracks something open in me, a warmth I thought I'd lost, a spark in the dark. I think of my unsent letter to Harold, still tucked in my notebook, its pages creased. I add to it, writing about the kids here, how they need someone to show up their trust, a gift. It's not about him anymore. It's about me choosing who I am, defining my own edges. I walk to the park, needing air, the grass soft under my feet. I sit on a bench, watching families pass their laughter soft in the evening light, the sky streaked with pink. I pull out a small notebook, one I use to jot grocery lists, and start sketching ideas for the centre's next event, a book fair for the kids. My pen moves fast. Planning games and story hours, its ink bold on the page. It's small, but it's mine, a way to build something new, a world I can shape. I think of my grandmother's quilt, its patches holding strong, and feel her resilience in me, steady as the bench beneath me. Frances joins me at the centre's kitchen chopping vegetables for a community meal, the air sharp with onions. She talks about her ex-husband, how she learned to live for herself after he left her, knife moving sure and steady. Her words settle in me like seeds in soft earth taking root. I tell her about the letter, how writing it feels like reclaiming my voice, each word a step forward. She smiles, says sometimes you have to speak to yourself first, her eyes warm with knowing. I nod, feeling the truth of it. My hands steady as I peel carrots, their orange bright against the cutting board. Back home, I light a candle, its glow soft against the bare walls, casting shadows that dance. I open my notebook, the letter to Harold. Now pages long, a map of my heart. I write one last line, I'm not waiting for you anymore. I close it, my breath even, and look out the window, the street lights flickering on. The street is quiet, the world still turning steady and sure. I stand there, the candle's light warm on my face, and feel a strength I haven't known in years. Not loud, but mine, a quiet fire growing. I'm Lois, and at 62, I'm finding that action, even small shifts the ground beneath you like a river carving stone. The community centre has become my anchor, its bustle a contrast to my apartment's quiet, the chatter of voices, a new rhythm. I'm shelving books for the kids' reading corner when Lloyd calls, his voice crackling through the phone. His voice is measured, saying he's confirmed Harold and Marlene are in Spain, living off the house sale. Their lives bright with my loss. No sign they'll reach out, no trace of remorse. I thank him, my tone calm, but my chest tightens like a door I hoped was ajar, has slammed shut, its echo lingering. I sit in the centre's break room, a chipped mug of tea in my hands, its steam curling in the air. Beverly, another volunteer, joins me, her apron dusted with flour from baking for the kids, her hands quick and sure. She shares how she forgave her sister for stealing years ago, how it freed her, her voice soft but steady. Her words are soft, but they press against my anger, urging me to let go, to loosen the knot in my chest. I nod, but Harold's absence feels like a weight I can't yet lift, heavy as the mug in my hands. At home, I find a photo album in a box, its pages filled with picnics, birthdays. Harold's gap-toothed grin, his eyes bright with youth. I linger on a picture of us by the lake, his small hand in mine, the water sparkling behind us. The memory is warm, but it stings, knowing he's chosen a life without me, a world I can't reach. I close the album, my fingers tracing its worn cover, the leather soft but heavy, and feel the ache of what's gone. I want to believe Kathy and Jimmy will remember me, but doubt creeps in a shadow on the page. Kathy visits, dropped off by a friend of Marlene's, her backpack slung low. She's taller now, her eyes searching mine, her ponytail looser than before. She doesn't mention her parents, just talks about school. Her words careful, measured like she's guarding something fragile. I give her cookies, watch her nibble quietly, and wonder what she knows, what secrets she carries. I ask if she's okay, but she shrugs her smile, forced her eyes darting away. Her silence speaks louder than words, and I feel a pang realizing she's caught in their storm too, a child in the wreckage. I keep volunteering, teaching kids to read their eager voices, pulling me forward, their laughter a light in the dark. Beverly notices my focus, says I'm good with them. Like it's natural, her words warm as the sunlight through the window. I smile, but inside I'm wrestling with Harold's betrayal. Kathy's guarded eyes, the weight of my choices. I want to protect her, but I'm not sure how, my heart torn between hope and loss. The center feels like a lifeline, but the truth of Harold's new life abroad sits heavy. A reminder of what my choices cost me, a debt I can't repay. I stand in my apartment staring at the bare patch of dirt outside my window, the earth hard and unyielding. I decide to plant a lilac bush like the ones from my old home, their scent a memory of better days. I dig the earth cool under my hands, each scoop a small act of reclaiming something lost. The shovel scraping softly. The bush is small, fragile, but it's mine, its roots tentative but real. I pat the soil, my breath uneven, and feel the weight of Harold's absence settle deeper, like a stone I can't move, heavy in the evening light. I'm Lois, and at 62, I'm learning that moving forward doesn't erase the ache, only softens its edges. The lilac bush outside my window is a small defiance, its roots settling into unfamiliar soil, its leaves catching the morning sun. I water it daily, a ritual that steadies me, the cairn's weight, familiar in my hands. But the truth of Harold's life abroad gnaws at my edges, a quiet ache. I sit at my kitchen table sorting donations for the community center, clothes and toys in neat piles, when Beverly hands me a flyer. It's for a family day event, and her eyes soften, asking if I'll bring Kathy, her voice hopeful. I pause, my throat tight, and say I'll try, my words thin as the paper in my hand. I call Kathy's school, hoping to arrange another visit, the phone heavy in my palm. The secretary's voice is kind but clipped, saying she's with a temporary guardian. No details given, her tone final. I hang up, my hands cold, picturing Kathy's small frame in a stranger's care, her world unsteady. I wonder what Harold told her, if she thinks I've abandoned her too, the thought a quiet stab sharper than I expected. I stare at the flyer, its bright colors mocking my grey mood, its cheerful font a contrast to my heart. At the center, I help set up for the event, hanging streamers with shaky hands, their colors bright against the plain walls. A young mother, her voice soft, thanks me for reading to her son, her gratitude warm as the morning light. Her thanks is warm, but it can't touch the chill inside me, the cold of loss. I think of Jimmy, his drawings still taped to my fridge, their lines fading, and wonder if he's forgotten our afternoons together, our laughter over cookies. I stack chairs, each one heavier than the last, my body moving while my mind replays Kathy's guarded smile, her eyes distant. Beverly pulls me aside, her apron still dusted with flour, her hands smelling of dough. She talks about her sister again, how forgiveness wasn't about them, but about her own peace, her words steady as her gaze. I nod, but the word forgiveness feels distant, like a language I don't speak its syllables, foreign. I want to let go. But Harold's silence, Marlene's cruelty, they cling to me heavy as damp cloths, weighing me down. I thank her, my voice flat, and return to sorting books, needing the distraction their pages a quiet escape. I find a children's book in the pile, its cover showing a family holding hands, their smiles bright and sure. It's worn like someone loved it fiercely, its edges soft from many hands. I trace the illustration, remembering bedtime stories with Harold, his head on my shoulder, his breath warm and even. The memory is soft but cuts deep, knowing he's built a life that doesn't include me, a world I can't touch. I set the book aside, my fingers lingering, and feel the weight of his absence settle heavier, like a fog that won't lift, thick in the air. Back home, I stand by the lilac bush, the evening air cool, the sky streaked with dusk. I touch its leaves, fragile but stubborn, and think of my own roots, torn up and replanted, seeking new ground. The center's warmth, the kids' laughter, they're starting to feel like home. A place I belong, but Kathy's distance, Harold's betrayal, they pull me back. Anchors to a past I can't escape. I kneel the dirt grounding me and feel a quiet ache, not anger, but something deeper, a loss. I'm not ready to name heavy as the twilight. I'm Lois, and at 62, I've learned that peace comes in small, quiet moments, like sunlight through a cracked window, soft and fleeting. My apartment feels softer now, the walls no longer bare, their edges warmed by my touch. I've hung a few pictures, simple ones, of places I've never been, but hope to see their colours bright against the plain plaster. The community centre's garden has become my refuge, its rows of marigolds and snapdragons. A reminder that things can grow again, their petals vivid in the sun. I weed the beds, my hands steady in the cool soil. The earth's scent rich and grounding, and feel a stillness I haven't known in months. I meet Sharon, a young woman at the center. Her eyes carrying a weight, I recognize her shoulders, hunched with unspoken hurt. She's 22, estranged from her parents, and asks me how I keep going after family lets you down. Her voice soft but searching. I pause, kneeling by a flower bed, the dirt clinging to my fingers, and tell her about the kids I read to, how their laughter pulls me forward, their voices a light in the dark. She listens, her fingers twisting a bracelet, its beads clicking softly, and I see myself in her years ago, searching for answers in a world that felt too big. I don't have them all, but sharing feels like enough, a bridge between us. At home, I find a pressed flower in an old book, a daisy from a walk with my husband long ago. Its white petals fragile but preserved. He'd tucked it into my hair, his grin wide as the summer sky. his laughter warm in my memory. I hold it, its petals brittle but whole, and feel a warmth that doesn't hurt, a memory that holds steady. It's not about forgetting Harold or Marlene, but about remembering I was whole before them, a woman with her own strength. I set the flower on my table, a small piece of my past that doesn't sting its presence, quiet but sure. Geraldine. A friend from the centre invites me for coffee, her voice warm through the phone. She's in her 60s, her voice steady as she talks about losing her daughter to distance, not death. Her words measured, but heavy. She says peace came when she stopped waiting for apologies, her tone calm as the coffee's steam. Her words settle in me like a stone smoothed by a river, steady and cool. I think of Harold somewhere far and realize I'm starting to let go. Not of love, but of the need for him to see me, to validate my worth. I start a journal, plain and spiral-bound, for Kathy and Jimmy, its pages crisp and waiting. I write about the garden, the kids at the center, the way life keeps moving steady as the seasons. I tell them to be kind, to hold tight to what matters, my words flowing like water. The words flow not angry but clear, like I'm speaking to their future selves, to the adults they'll become. I don't know if they'll read it, but it feels right, a way to leave something behind that's mine, a legacy of my own making. I walk to the garden at dusk, the air cool and sharp, the sky deepening to indigo. I sit on a bench, watching the last light catch the flowers, their colors soft in the fading day. Sharon's question echoes in my mind, and I realize I'm not just surviving. I'm choosing to live, to build something new. The hurt is still there, a shadow, but it's softer now, like a bruise fading its edges less sharp. I breathe slow, the world quiet around me, and feel a calm that's fragile but real, settling deep in my bones, a peace I've earned. I'm Lois, and at 62, I've found that peace isn't a loud victory. It's the quiet choice to keep breathing, to keep moving. The community center's garden glows in the morning light, its flowers brighter after last night's rain, their petals glistening with dew. I clip dead leaves, my hands sure now, each snip a small letting go, the shears cold in my grip. Sharon joins me, her steps tentative, and asks how I forgive without forgetting, her voice soft as the morning air. I tell her it's not about erasing pain, but carrying it lighter, letting it rest instead of rule. She nods, her eyes clearer, and I feel a warmth, like I've given her something solid, a tool for her own journey. Back home, I open my journal, the pages filling with words for Kathy and Jimmy, each line a thread in a new tapestry. I write about my mother, how she taught me to mend clothes. Her fingers quick despite hard years, her needle flashing in the lamplight. Her lessons weren't just about thread. They were about holding together, stitching strength from scraps. I tell them to find their own stitches, to build something strong, their lives their own to shape. The act of writing feels like planting seeds, even if I never see them grow, a quiet hope in each word. Geraldine calls, her voice warm, inviting me to a potluck at the center. Her laughter bright through the phone. I bring a casserole. The recipe my own, not tied to old memories, its aroma rich with herbs. The room is loud with laughter plates, clinking kids running their voices, a joyful chaos. I sit with Sharon and Geraldine, their stories weaving into mine, a tapestry of shared strength. I don't feel alone here, not anymore. The warmth of their presence, a new kind of home. I realize I'm not waiting for Harold's call, and the thought doesn't cut like it used to, its edge dulled by time. I walk to the mailbox, a habit I can't shake, the metal cool under my fingers. Inside, there's a drawing from Kathy sent through her school, its envelope plain but precious. It's a garden flowers in bright crayon, a stick figure woman who looks like me, her smile wide. No note, just her name scrawled small, her handwriting unsteady, but sure. I hold it my fingers steady and feel a quiet hope, a spark in the dark. She's reaching out in her way, and it's enough for now. A bridge I didn't expect. I tape it to my fridge, its colours bright against the plain door, a burst of light in my small world. At the garden, I kneel by the marigolds, their scent sharp and alive, their petals soft under my touch. I think of my husband, how he'd hum while tending our old yard, his voice low and steady. I don't need his voice to guide me anymore, but I carry it soft in my chest, a melody I've made my own. I stand brushing dirt from my knees and look at the flowers, their roots deep steady in the earth. The world is still, the air cool, and I feel a calm that holds me like a hand I've learned to trust, gentle but firm. I'm Lois, and at 62, I've learned that healing isn't a destination, it's the slow work of living again day by day. My apartment is home now, its corners softened by small things. A woven rug from a thrift shop, its threads warm with colour. A shelf of books I read at night, their pages a quiet escape. I wake early, the dawn light spilling through my window, casting soft shadows, and make coffee, the ritual grounding me, the pot's gurgle, a familiar sound. The world feels quieter, not empty, but still like a lake after a storm, its surface smooth. I sip my coffee, savouring its warmth, and feel steady in my own skin. A woman reclaimed. I walk to the community centre's garden where the air smells of damp earth and blooming lavender, its scent sharp and soothing. I tend the plants, my hands sure as I prune overgrown stems, the clippers steady in my grip. A young boy, maybe 7, runs up asking about the flowers, his voice bright with curiosity. I show him how to water them, his small hands clumsy but eager, water splashing on his shoes. His curiosity reminds me of my own, buried under years of giving too much, now stirring awake. I smile, and it feels real, a lightness I've earned. Eugene the pastor speaks at the centre's Sunday gathering, his voice low, steady, resonating in the small room. He talks about forgiveness as a gift you give yourself, not others. His words simple but heavy. I sit in the back, my hands folded, and let his words sink in like rain into dry earth. I think of Harold somewhere far and realize I don't need his apology to move on, his absence no longer a chain. The thought is light, like shedding a coat I've worn too long, its weight falling away. I nod to Eugene after his eyes kind and feel a weight lift, a freedom I didn't expect. At home, I open my journal, its pages thick with words for Kathy and Jimmy, each line a piece of my heart. I write about the garden, how things grow when you care for them, not when you force them, their growth a quiet miracle. I tell them about my mother, how she'd braid my hair on summer evenings. Her hands steady, teaching me to be patient, her touch a lesson in time. Those moments shaped me, and I hope my words shape them, even if they read them years from now, a legacy of love. I don't know if they'll read it, but it feels right, a way to leave something behind that's mine, a gift freely given. I walk to a nearby park, settling on a bench under an oak tree, its branches wide and steady. The leaves rustle, their sound a soft hum, blending with the breeze. I watch families pass, their voices blending into the air, their joy a quiet backdrop. I don't feel alone here, not anymore, the world embracing me in its hum. The hurt of Harold's betrayal is still there, a faint scar, but it doesn't define me, no longer a wound that bleeds. I breathe slow, the air cool, and feel a quiet strength like roots sinking deeper into ground. I've claimed as my own, solid and sure. And at 62, I've learned that life doesn't owe you closure. It offers you choices, small but powerful. I sit in my apartment, a cup of chamomile tea steaming beside me, its scent soft in the evening quiet, a gentle comfort. I've started knitting again, a habit I dropped years ago, the needles familiar in my hands. The needles click, forming a scarf for Jimmy, its yarn a deep blue like the lake we used to visit, its waters calm in my memory. Each stitch feels like a promise, not to him, but to myself. To keep creating despite what's lost, to weave something new. I walk to the community centre where the garden is now a patchwork of colours, tended by hands like mine. Each plant a story of care. I meet Sharon there, her face brighter as she talks about mending ties with her mother, her voice light with hope. I listen, my hands in the soil, the earth cool and rich, and feel a quiet pride, a sense of purpose. I've started a reading group for women, a space to share stories of loss and strength. Their voices raw and honest in the small room. Their voices raw and honest remind me that healing is collective, built in small moments of trust, a shared journey. Jimmy sends a letter forwarded by his school, its envelope creased from travel. It's short. His handwriting messy, saying he misses my cookies. His words simple but heavy. I read it twice, my eyes stinging. But I don't cry, my heart steady. I write back, telling him about the garden, the kids I read to, inviting him to visit my pen, moving with care. I don't know if he will, but the act of writing feels like enough, a bridge I'm building without expecting him to cross it, a quiet hope. I visit the park again, sitting on the same bench, the oak's shade cool above me. I carve my initials into its wood, a simple act, my fingers steady with a pocket knife I bought for myself, its blade sharp and new. It's not about claiming space, but about marking my presence, a quiet proof. I'm here, a woman who exists. I think of my mother, her hands braiding my hair, teaching me that strength is in the small things, the choices you make when no one's watching, her lessons. A quiet guide. I don't need her voice to guide me anymore, but I carry it, a soft echo in my chest. The lesson isn't loud or grand. It's this: love doesn't mean giving everything away. It means giving what you can, then choosing yourself too. I gave Harold my house, my savings, my heart, and he walked away, his choice a wound. But I've built something new, not perfect, but mine, rooted in my own hands. The garden, the reading group, the scarf I'm knitting, they're my home now, a place I've made. I've learnt to forgive, not for him, but for the woman I still want to be, a woman whole and steady. What have you let go of to find yourself again? Share your story below. I'd love to hear it, to know your journey. If this touched you, please like, subscribe, or share with someone who needs it. Someone searching for their own light. Thank you for listening, for being here, for sharing this moment. May you find your own quiet strength, wherever you are, a strength that carries you home.